Year 3, Week 7 reality check. All right, welcome back to another DNS address. Week 7 is complete. This gave us a little bit of everything. Georgia Tech scored touchdowns on offense, defense, special teams, basically every department on campus. South Florida hung 70 on Florida Atlantic. Georgia Southern won its 5th straight. Old Dominion keeps feeding the Heisman machine. Troy moved to 5-1. UAB finally, and I mean finally, got into the win column. Texas State walked in the boys' end defeated and left with its first reality check of year 3. Let's get into it. Our headline of the week is Georgia Tech is getting ridiculous. Georgia Tech went the cow and won 59-9. The Yellow Jackets are now 7-0, and this was not just an offensive beatdown. This was a full team avalanche. Klutz threw 3 touchdowns. The defense recorded 7 sacks and 3 interceptions. Tre Dent took one of those interceptions 42 yards to the house. Jon Mitchell took another 71 to the house. Jon Mitchell took another 71 to the house. 2 pick sixes. Georgia Tech was not finished, though. Wrotto returned a kickoff, 101 yards for a touchdown. Terrelle Thrash returned another 96 yards for a touchdown. 4 touchdowns between defense and special teams alone. At some point, Cal probably wanted to ask if Georgia Tech's offense could just come back onto the field. The Yellow Jackets moved to number 2 in the country, 7 games, 7 wins, and right now Georgia Tech looks like a legit national champion contender. Next, at Boston College. South Florida dropped 70. Number 8 South Florida went to Florida Atlantic. Final score 70-31. 70. Henry Hasselbeck came off the bench and threw 6 total touchdowns. Terry Shelton had one of the craziest receiving performances we've seen this season. 14 catches, 169 yards, 5 touchdowns. That earned Shelton the National Offensive Player of the Week. Iverson Howard added 262 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. South Florida created 5 turnovers on defense. And suddenly that 0-2 start feels like it happened 6 months ago. The Bulls are now 1-4 straight. They are 4-2, and the offense looks dangerous again. Tulsa comes to South Florida next. Georgia Southern takes its 5th straight. Georgia Southern went to UL Monroe and won 36-14. That makes 5 consecutive wins after a season-opening loss to number 1 Oklahoma at the time. KJ Towers threw a touchdown. JJ Bradley and Teo Thod rushed the groundwork. Cam McHale turned his 1 reception into a 57-yard touchdown. Efficient. But the defense was the real story. 5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and Ben Mucci returned one of those interceptions, 31 yards for a touchdown. That performance earned Ben the National Defensive Player of the Week. Georgia Southern improves to 5-1, moves up to number 20. Next, they are at Georgia State. The Eagles have gone from surviving their opening schedule to becoming one of the hottest teams in the dynasty. Old Dominion keeps running people over. Old Dominion beat Coastal Carolina 49-21, and once again, the backfield did most of the damage. Timmons scored 3 touchdowns. Varillo scored 3 touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns between the 2 backs. John was able to add a 100-yard day and remain firmly in the early Heisman conversation. Old Dominion improves to 5-2. 3 straight wins after 2 close losses to Ole Miss and Washington. James Madison comes next to Norfolk, and Varillo's Heisman campaign will continue. UAB finally breaks through. Ladies and gentlemen, it happened. UAB won a football game. Streamers and everything else set the fireworks off right now. The Blazers beat Army 27-14. After starting 0-5, Coach Breesy finally gets win number 1 at UAB. It was not fancy. Nate Rogers threw for only 34 yards. 34. When UAB ran the football, people played defense and forced turnovers. We get some stuff going. Sally was able to score. Burnridge scored. Rogers added a rushing touchdown, and the defense intercepted Army twice. Sometimes your first one does not have to look pretty. It just needs to exist. UAB improves to 1-5 after 5 weeks of asking when the breakthrough was coming. Here it is next, Charlotte. With that, Army takes its step back. On the other side, Army falls to 3-2. Luger threw 2 touchdowns and was intercepted twice. Bray produced 155 from scrimmage and scored both of Army's touchdowns, and the Black Knights never found enough offensive rhythm. After winning 3 of the first 4 under Coach Nighthawk, Army takes its second loss. UTSA, though, visits West Point next. Time to respond, boys. Troy moves to 5-1. Troy went to Appalachian State and won 35-17. Waldrop threw for 329 and 2 touchdowns. AC Walters rushed for 148 and a score. Boyd and White both approached 100 receiving yards, and White somehow ended with 3 total touchdowns between receiving and rushing. Troy improves to 5-1 and moves back into rankings at number 24. Next, at Arkansas State. After the Ohio State loss, Troy settled right back down. Sacramento State survives this week. Sacramento State beats Kent State 38-35. Close. Probably closer than what Coach Mullins wanted, but a win's a win. Babcock threw 3 touchdowns. Godley and Rainey both had productive days on the ground. The defense recorded 5 sacks. Sacramento State's able to improve to 5-2. Next, Central Michigan comes to Sacramento. The Hornets keep stacking wins. Boise State ends Texas State's perfect start. Texas State entered week 7, 5-0. Then they went to number 6, Boise State. Boise State wins 52-10. This isn't a close loss. That's a receipt. Risling threw 2 interceptions. Compton went over 100 yards and scored. Crow toppled 100 receiving yards. But Boise State controlled the game. Texas State falls to 5-1, and honestly, this is where we learn something. Anybody can look good when everything is going right. But the Bobcats have to show how they respond after getting punched in the mouth. UCLA comes to town next. We'll see how they respond. Mississippi State falls again. Arkansas beats Mississippi State 38-17. The Bulldogs' quarterback problem continues. 5 interceptions between Coolidge and Hart. This is becoming the story of the season. Peter can still put up a huge receiving day, though. Capehart toppled 100 yards, but turnovers keep erasing production. Mississippi State falls to 2-4. Missouri comes to Starkville next. The Bulldogs desperately need some stability at quarterback. We'll see. Our stock-ups of the week are Georgia Tech 7-0, number 2 in the country. No further explanation required. South Florida, four straight wins after starting 0-2. The Bulls are officially back. Georgia Southern, 5 straight, and the defense now producing national award winners. UAB 1 and 5 never looked so beautiful. Sometimes the first is the hardest. Our need more film of the week is Texas State. The undefeated season's gone. The response against UCLA will tell us that loss, more about that loss itself. Mississippi State's quarterbacks, 5 more interceptions. We've crossed from bad games into ongoing problems. Army, 3 wins were followed by 2 losses. In the last 3 games, time to stabilize. Our Week 7 honors our Offensive Player of the Week, Terry Shelton from South Florida. He had 5 receiving touchdowns. The decision was easy. Our Defensive Player of the Week is Ben Muccia from Georgia Southern. Pick 6, part of the defense that forced 5 turnovers. Easy choice here, too. Our Heisman watch is still the same. Barillo and Compton are in it. Another 100-yard from John, 3 touchdowns. The reigning Heisman remains perfectly in this race. Compton topped another 100 yards against the top 6 opponent. His candidacy is not dead. Now we see how he responds. Our Built Not Given award of the week goes to UAB. 5 losses, 5 weeks of frustration, close games, turnovers, missed opportunities, and plenty of reasons to let the season spiral. Instead, UAB went on the road and beat Army. It wasn't pretty. It did not have to be. Win number 1 finally arrives. Now the challenge is proving it belongs, and the beginning was something. It was not an exception. That was built, not given. Our Week 8 look ahead. Number 2, Georgia Tech at Boston College, 7-0. Can anybody slow them down? Number 20, Georgia Southern at Georgia State. The Eagles look for 6 straight. Tulsa at number 8, South Florida. South Florida has won 4 in a row. Now they try to keep climbing. James Madison at Old Dominion. John and company look for win number 6. Number 24, Troy at Arkansas State. Troy tries to improve to 6-1. Central Michigan at Sacramento State. The Hornets are looking for win number 6. Missouri at Mississippi State. This is getting important for the Bulldogs. UCLA at Texas State. The perfect season's gone. Now comes the response. UTSA at Army. Coach Nighthawk looks to get Army back on track. And UAB at Charlotte. Now that UAB has finally has gotten one, can they get two? Week 7 gave us both ends of college football. Georgia Tech keeps looking like a championship team. South Florida dropped 70. Georgia Southern won its 5th. Old Dominion kept feeding its Heisman. Troy is 5-1. Sacramento State's 5-2. UAB finally got its first win. And Texas State also learned what happens when an undefeated runs into the number 6 team on the road. That is college football. One week you are perfect. The next week you are figuring out how to respond. And now we start entering part of the season where games get heavier, conference races, rankings, Heisman campaigns, playoff positioning. It all is starting to matter. Week 8 is next. In the Department of Natural Selection, you select, we collect, built, not given.